All right, guys, here we go. This is going to be a great 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour of a lot of solid material we're going to learn about. There's this really great quote a friend just sent me, and he said, "The reason that your woman is always mad at you is because you were her second choice." Kind of makes us think, and how much reality is there to what that quote in and of itself is about? There's a lot, and we're going to break through that a lot within this video. But one thing just to start is I want you guys to look at it like this. A lot of what we get told in life is not with malintent, but it's just misaligned. What does that mean? Meaning a lot of the stuff that we hear, that we see about how life is supposed to be, it's really just projections about people who may or may not have our best interests at heart. And they usually do, they usually don't, whatever it may be. We need to do some research for ourselves. Of course, trust what's also been out there, but just understand that there are things we need to learn, and we need to challenge certain narratives just to see if they actually still stand up and if they give us success. So before you even watch this video, I don't want you to watch it if you actually are not interested in seeing another angle about how it looks like to attract and connect and sustain a relationship with a woman. If you're not interested in that, please just log off. It's not going to be super friendly. I mean, the video will be, but there's going to be some stuff in here that's going to be a little bit tough to digest, but nothing impossible to digest. But if you're just not interested in that, please just feel free to dip. I won't be upset, and I'll see you some other time. I'll have some other really good content to share with you. Now, if you stuck around, that's a really good thing. If you're wondering why I have this book here, it's because there's a certain structure that I want to tell you guys about. It's going to require a little bit of the note section here that I have. So much of what we've learned, we're going to need to just challenge to see this. We're going to challenge and see, is that belief that I have is getting me closer to the outcome I want? Meaning, I was listening to a podcast with Naval Ravikant, super smart guy. I read his book, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, I think is his book. And he was actually asked, how do you define intelligence? And he said something that was great, kind of changed my mind a few weeks ago when I heard it. He said, intelligence is the ability to get what you want out of your life. That's it. If you are looking at life in that lens, you're going to be in great shape because you're getting an outcome that you actually want based off of the input that you're putting in. If you are not getting the output you want, you got to go back to the chessboard and you got to realize, wait a second. There's some things in here that I'm not doing well that I actually need to step up and I actually need to do well, or I'm not gonna get the outcome that I want. Now, I want you guys to say, if you already have your pen and paper, and if you don't, just start taking some notes. We're gonna put it on the screen as well, but we're gonna go through 8 common dating myths, right? So off the bat, you may have some blocks in your mind of, okay, there's all this material out there. Okay, no, this is my lot in life. This is who I am. Okay, maybe you could believe that, but just ask yourself, has the belief you have right now, has it gotten you closer to the outcome you want? And if it hasn't, then you should probably reevaluate it, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same result, okay? So let's dive in. I'll give you a moment, get a piece of paper, get a pen, get whatever you need to get started because we're gonna crash into this. I wanna keep this about 45 to an hour, so really just focus with me, stay seated. We're gonna learn a lot. It's gonna be a lot of material, but I'm gonna make it really value-packed for you guys. So 8 dating myths. We're gonna go through them. It should take about 5 minutes. We're gonna go rather quick. 1, you have to be a rock star, a millionaire, or athlete to get hot dates. Being those things are helpful, but really what these 3 things do is that they actually accentuate, they bring more to light the archetype, meaning who you represent in the eyes of women and among men even, to get the attention and respect. Those are 3 archetypes that you have, meaning 3 models, but you don't need to get and be those 3 kinds of people in order to get hot dates. You really don't. 2, just be nice and sensitive enough and you'll get women. Or you'll get a woman if you're lucky, right? So that we'll dive into, but that's also myth because it's not about being nice and sensitive necessarily. Women want the nice and sensitive guy, but they want that from the guy they're already attracted to. That's one of the keys that we tend to forget because people filter the perception of somebody based on how attracted they are to that person. So in reality, you don't want to be a nice and sensitive guy off the bat. You want to be kind. You want to have the ability to not be kind because a lot of nice guys, they actually masquerade their incompetence as virtue, meaning they actually pretend to be this super good virtuous guy, but in reality they have no other options. So they're just there hanging out. They don't even know what they can do, but they're just making lies and excuses up. And it's really a way of cope. And it's actually quite sad because it's like telling someone who's super heavy, wow, no, you're fun sized. Yeah, you look great. No, the reality is you are fat. Let's find out a way to not put you in this position because it is not healthy, doesn't help others. We got to work on this. We can only change reality once we accept reality. And if we don't want to accept the reality forever that we currently live in, then that gives us a chance to change it. Dating myth number 3, be a woman's therapist and you'll get sex. So yeah, this could happen, but in reality, you're not creating a frame that's going to be sustainable long term. When you're going in and being a woman's therapist, she's thinking, okay, wait a second. I'm getting so much attention and provision from this guy and protection, and I don't even have to hook up with him. Wow. I mean, okay, cool. I'll just keep taking it. It's not going to work, and if it does work for you, it's not sustainable. And if it is, rare. I've never seen that happen sustainably with any of the clients I've worked with. 4, there are a limited number of available women. This is just simply not true. The world is massive, and I'm going to assume if you're watching this, you've traveled a bit, you've seen some other cities, but there's probably 95% of the bigger cities in the world you haven't traveled to, or even moderately big cities, that you can actually see and connect with women that are there. Even in your own communities, you gotta navigate that area much more intelligently. That's a total myth. Now we're halfway through. Dating myth number 5 is that you are not attractive enough to get women. So here's something to think about. People do have, when they're born, some proclivity to actually be more attractive just based on their looks, based off circumstance even. But the reality is that attraction is something you can actually build and increase. For example, if your hygiene is bad, clean up your hygiene. Get a haircut, do a barber, put on some deodorant, wear some nicer clothes, simple. That already changes the attention. Also, practice speaking, practice socializing, practice engaging. There are many things we're gonna work on that's gonna improve your attractiveness to women, because when you do that, you not only do become more attractive to women, you also gain more confidence, and then you'll start getting more competent, which is highly attractive to most women, but really all women actually. Dating myth number 6, getting women is too time consuming or difficult. So it can be if you're not doing it the right way, and there is a right or wrong way to do it. Think about this frame. Are you the flame or are you the moth? Meaning, are you the moth chasing the flame, or are you the flame attracting the moth? Another way to look at it is, instead of chasing the butterfly, water your garden. When you water your garden, you're then able to attract many more butterflies than you would if you were trying to chase them, because whenever you chase, what does the butterfly do? They run, right? So it's not good. 7, dating myth 7. Women know what they want and they will tell you. So women don't really know what they necessarily want, because we've all been conditioned, just like men. A lot of times men and women, we don't really know what we want. But the challenge is that what we see in these fairy tale movies and romantic and all this stuff, that's what they popularize, right? So think about this. You've ever seen one of those movies where they have the guy who falls in love with the girl and he goes to the girl's house with a boombox above his head like an idiot. He goes there and then he starts throwing rocks at her window like that. There's some Taylor Swift song where they did that. Okay, it could be romantic in some way, maybe. But you try to do that in real life. You go to a girl who, if she didn't accept you at the first start, she's probably not interested. You go to her house with the jukebox over your head, throwing rocks like an idiot. Guess what happens? Yeah, excuse me, 911. Yeah, this creep is on my doorstep in my backyard. Why in her backyard? It's weird. It's not going to work. And the reason we get to that is because a lot of what women say they want and what they respond to are two very different things. And you can just test this on yourself. Why does it seem like all the women want the nice and soft guy, but they go for the jerk? The thing is, like we said before, they want the nice and soft guy once they're already attracted to him. But doing that out of sequence is not going to attract the women because they respond very differently to things. Keep that in mind. That's a total myth. Last myth that we have is that dating is supposed to be fair. As you guys know, being gentlemen, dating is not fair. It's very tough. Sometimes you're not born 6'4" or with a chiseled face, chiseled jaw. Sometimes you have the best style, the best sense of mind, the best humor, whatever it may be. Maybe you're in a city where there's not that many attractive women. Who knows? Maybe you were born with some challenge where, okay, maybe I don't look so good. Maybe I walk funny. Maybe my family's not as rich. Maybe I'm so rich that people kind of feel weird with me. Although that's a unique problem. Understand that, yes, it's not fair. But would you want it to be fair? Isn't it more beautiful that we can actually create from almost kind of nothing and then build ourselves up so much, especially as men? You know, we'll get into this a bit, but inherently men are actually born with very little to no value, right? Men, we're pretty disposable in society, and we have to work and find our way to actually level the playing field and connect and provide value for men and show attraction that women can be attracted to us. It takes a lot of work, but we're gonna get through it. We're gonna really work on these. So the 8 dating myths, make sure you wrote those down. I'll make sure just to incorporate these as we go on within the video recording. Also, I'm gonna use this board a bit behind me if we need it, but I think more so you guys are just taking notes, and I'll have slides up, hopefully if I get this edited, and if not, we're just powering through it. And you can always find other ways to see some more of my content, so whether that's on YouTube, podcast, whatever it is. Of course, get in contact with me specifically so we can implement these things one-on-one. Okay, so I want you guys to take a guess right now. We're gonna go to, what do men and women actually want, right? So just so you guys see where we're at, from a very base standpoint, men, we're gonna want ideally 5 key things, right? We want so much, but we don't really need that much. What are 5 things that any man can agree with? And if you're a man watching this right now, which you are, then I want you to pay very close attention to see if you agree. If you're a lady watching this, which welcome, I want you to share this to the women in your life, the guys in your life. Just share this with people and say, wait a second, do you think he's actually right with what he's saying? Is this true? Test for yourself. But none of you guys who are watching this right now, I can guarantee you will not disagree with this. Men want a woman that is beautiful, that's intelligent, that is family-oriented, emotionally supportive, and sexually adventurous. Not rocket science, but that's the idea. That's what we look for, right? We also tend to look for women who don't have that much experience. And what that means is we typically don't want someone who's had a lot of partners. We typically don't want someone who's already seen the entire world, because in a way, what can we really show them that they haven't already been shown or been able to acquire on their own? So that's just the men's component. But I want to target this video to understand what it is exactly that women are wanting. Because when we know this, we can understand how to respond, we can understand how to attract, we can understand how we need to become. You know, one of the differences with men and women, that's a beautiful concept, is that women are born on the mountaintop and men are born in the valley of despair, right? So just think about it. If you're seeing someone who, let's say they're in their 20s and they're super attractive or even moderately attractive, they're basically kind of like celebrities in a way, right? You're super attractive and they're living lifestyles because they're getting hit up by all these different kinds of guys and different opportunities because of their beauty. And even if they're not the most beautiful, they're at least decently attractive. And they also have a part of them that is going to resonate with a lot of guys because, again, the impetus is on men to actually go and approach women and to initiate and to create. Women are mainly receiving. And in many ways, women receive emotionally, physically, sexually, spiritually. And men are the ones who actually go out and go after. We'll get more into this one so we get deeper. Here's what women want. I'm going to break it down, and there's a lot of models, right? So those were the 5 things that men want: beautiful, intelligent, emotionally supportive, family-oriented, and sexually adventurous. You have those 5, just think about it. And you got to ask yourself too, if you're currently with someone or if you're vetting someone, how many of these do they actually match, right? So this isn't an end-all be-all, but you really should aim, ideally you'd have all 5. I mean, after doing the work we do together, you're going to get closer and closer to that. But if you're with a woman who doesn't have, really at least 3, you should probably cut it quits. And even 3 may be a mistake. So here's what women want in short. They want a partner, a man specifically, that is rich, that's handsome, that is funny, chivalrous, and socially connected. They want these things because they're thinking about what's going to happen in the future with this relationship and at this current moment, right? Think about it like this. We are all biological machines that we are hardwired with software within our soul, our spirit, our body. We're designed, we're created, we're evolved, whatever you want to believe, essentially to survive and replicate. That's what it all comes down to. So we're looking to survive and replicate. What does that mean? And let me ask you this question. Are men looking for a partner that can help them survive more or replicate more? And are women looking for a partner that can help them survive or replicate more? Newsflash, men want a woman that has high perceived value of the ability to replicate, meaning have children, meaning to have sexual relation. Women are looking for primarily a man that can obviously protect, right? Or rather survive. Survive and replicate. A lot of these concepts are going to be very binary. So look at it through that lens because it's going to accelerate a lot of the process of what we're going through. Cool. So whenever we're communicating with a woman, right? This is something I want you guys to be very aware of. Is there's something called a DHV, right? In pickup terminology, you have something called a DHV, which is the demonstration of higher value. Understand that in life, we have type 1 thinking and type 2 thinking, or system 1, system 2. System 1 is basically fast, responsive, and it comes in, it's just very primal. System 2 is more thinking, deliberative, and more thought-oriented. We live in system 1, everybody does, because it's just our heuristic, our shortcut to understanding information in the world that we're actually picking up. So you're always either improving and increasing your value or basically diminishing it. It's not really neutral. If you think like that, yeah, it's a little easier way to get through life, but you're not here because you just want to hear information, let it go in and out. After this, you go back to Pornhub or you go do something else, play some video games. Yeah, you can do that, but I doubt that you're here because you want to learn that stuff even more. You actually want to learn how to connect and how to vibe with women and how to even get the respect from men that you basically need. Because think about it, especially if you guys are 20s, early 20s right now, it's very rare that women want you and that men respect you, right? Women don't really want you because what do you have to offer them? And men don't really not even respect you, they just can't even hire you. They can't even work with you because what do you really offer them? Life is tough, it's getting tougher. It can be definitely beautiful in many ways, but it's getting very difficult and we need to be very mindful of that. So here are 5 DHV, meaning demonstration of higher value switches that you need to be very mindful to implement when you are out about in the world. And this is something you need to be very conscientious of, but eventually it'll just become at a base level, you don't have to think about it, of what you can do when you're with women. People in general, of course, but specifically geared towards women. So there's something called, the first DHV switch is pre-selection. If you're selected by other women or there are other men following you, then that communicates to other women in the vicinity that, okay, wait a second. So let's just say John, whatever it is. Wait, John was with Sarah. Wow, that's incredible. So wait, but Sarah's kind of pretty. Wait, what does Sarah have that I don't? You know what? What that also does is it communicates to the person speaking, like, wait a second, I don't have to vet John because Sarah already did. A lot of women, when they're going up and interacting with a man, they really want to know, am I safe? Is this guy, I got to vet him, I don't know what he's all about. You know, because these sexual relations and encounters are much riskier for women in many ways, and men in some, but for women, definitely many more. So there's the imperative on us to actually say, wait a second, what's going on here? How can I navigate this entire pre-selection process that's occurring right now? Second is the leader of men, right? Back to that concept, when you're leading other men, really, the first thing you gotta do is lead yourself. Second is try to lead one other person. And third, when you start leading a bigger group and even a tribe, a community, a company, a country even, whatever it may be, when you start doing that, it also communicates to them, wait, okay, so he was pre-selected by other women and men followed him. And yeah, he's a leader of men. He leads himself, but he also leads other men. Okay, wow, this is really, really cool. Third DHV switch is the protector of loved ones, right? So yeah, you can attract women. Yeah, you can lead other guys, but hold on. Do you protect your loved ones? Because if I'm going to get in a relationship with you or entertain that idea, I'm going to be a loved one of yours, I'm assuming. And then what if I want to build a family with you? Are you going to actually protect the people in your life closely? Are you that kind of guy? Something very primal is going on there. And if you can communicate these 3 already, you're in very good shape. Fourth is a willingness to emote, right? So this isn't you crying and pouring your heart out and soul and say, oh my God. It's something like that. Meaning, do you have a willingness to emote, right? That's also, can you step into your energy as a man? Will you actually resonate and say, okay, this is my power, I'm going in there, and just have that energy released to that capacity? A scream, a yell, of course in context, whether that's in a battle or something else. And also, if there's a moment where, yeah, it's emotional, something happened, you're not going to be cold like a rock, but you're going to say, wow, that's really powerful, that hit me. Whatever emotion comes, can you emote that? And are you willing to emote, but of course, not break down and crumble, because you're basically like the mountain. She needs to know that as powerful as a woman is like a hurricane, that if she goes in your vicinity, she's not going to knock you down. You're not going to crumble and have an avalanche, but you're a mountain, you're her rock. If you can do that, you're really going to create a minimization of friction that's going to occur. Right? You want to minimize that as much as you can. Lastly, for the DHV switches is to be a successful risk taker, right? So going out and getting things and just putting yourself out there, taking risks, doing things that are maybe even a little bit dangerous. That communicates with women like, wait a second, this guy, he can go through battle, his social battle, physical battle, whatever it is, and come out the other side, not unscathed, but he can come out okay. That's why a lot of women love scars. They see scars on a guy and they think, wow, damn, that guy's been through battle and he's still moving, he's still good. right? So these are the 5 switches you really want to be very mindful of, that you're communicating, and whether that's in person, whether that's through your social profiles, whatever it is, communicating high value behavior is going to attract more opportunities, many positive, and some people may be jealous, some people may not like it, but we're not here to impress other people who aren't resonating. We're looking to level up and improve. So make sure you wrote those ones down. The 5 DHV switches is pre-selection, leader of men, protector of loved ones, a willingness to emote, and successful risk-taking. So far we're about 20 minutes in. We're gonna go through a lot more material right now. Probably another 20 minutes should be good. And I wanna ask you guys a question, because I'm gonna get some water in this moment. Ask yourselves this question right here. When I got upset in the past by a woman, whether it's romantic, specifically romantic, whether it's a girlfriend or someone I hooked up with, or someone I was just talking to, I went on a date with, my wife, my ex-wife, my fiance, whatever it is, why did I get upset at them? What happened? I'll give you a moment to think about that. Most people get this wrong. Okay, so in reality, I want you guys to test this. Let me know if you think this is right. What happens is that we get upset at people, not because of what they do, but because they didn't meet our expectations of what they should have done, right? You're not upset at that girl for not calling you back. You're upset because you expected her to and she didn't call you back, and now for some reason you're taking it out on her, when in reality, she either could have just not been interested, which obviously happens in many ways. No matter what you have done, no matter what you did, she may not be interested. But then as well is, it's probably something you did, right? So I really want to make this clear to you guys that are watching this. Before we even continue, just more of the work that we're going to do, full responsibility for where you are at with your life. Because there are guys who have it worse than you who literally see life as better and they're working harder to make it better. And those guys, they're accepting responsibility. The circumstance can be bad, but they manage to step up and improve their situation, which is now giving them better odds to actually succeed. And if you accept more responsibility and accountability, when things go right, you can take pride in it. And when things don't go well, they don't go the way you want them to go, then you can actually reflect and say, okay, what can I do to change it? That frame of mind is never going to mess you up if you're just really accountable and responsible for everything that happens. It's going to change your life. And not just in relationships, business, yourself, your health, whatever it is, how you think. If you got the answer wrong, okay, you messed up. No, but they were this. I don't care what they did. It may be true, but if they did this, what does that do? Where does it get us? Doesn't really do much, okay? So, through expectations, and this is what's really happening with our partners and dynamics and relationships, whether it's romantic, whether we're just seeing them, fiance, whatever it is, right? So, the 3 expectations that exist, and make sure you're writing these ones down. The first one is rules. So, rules is what is allowed and what is not allowed, right? We're always playing this game of, okay, I can do this, that's allowed, and I can't do that, that's not allowed. That's the first expectation. Second is definitions. Meaning what they are and what they aren't, right? Meaning, okay, but what does that actually mean about this person? Like, who is this person? Who aren't they? You know, the first one are figuring out, okay, what can I do? What can I do? But the second is, who is this person and who aren't they? Are they the ones who love to be adventurous and they're emotionally supportive and they're family oriented? Is that who they are? Or wait, maybe they just pretend to be this person. Okay, let me understand. So then you meet them at where they are. You don't create a false narrative about who this person might be. And then lastly, the compromises that we're going to make. I don't even like the term compromise. I think it's really leaning down a dark path. But the reality is in life, we're always making compromises to some capacity. It's rare that we get every single thing we want without giving up anything that we value, that we care about. So the compromise is, what do I get for what I give up, right? What am I getting at this moment? Okay, so I'm getting this love, connection, I'm getting this romance, all these things are happening. But yeah, I'm giving up my freedom, my time, my friendships with my friends. Wait a second. You know, of course, it's an isolated experience, but it just points the focus on what actually needs to be done so I can better understand where this relationship's going to go. Right? So the 3 expectations are rules, definitions, and compromise. Now, we're going to get to the really, really good stuff because a lot of this was actually just understanding the mental models of women and of men, just what they're attracted to, what they resonate with, right? Before we go on to this point, understand that it's not what women say, but what they respond to that you guys need to pay a lot of attention to, right? You know, a lot of times we take at face value of, okay, I don't like this. Okay, that's true, but you don't like it, but you're laughing, you're really connecting with it, you're resonating it. Like, it's the same thing with actions, right? People say certain things, and what they do is what really reveals the truth. Man, I care about you so much. I'm there all the time. I'll really take care of you. I love you, blah, blah, blah. Cool. But you're never there when I need you. You never call to support. And when actually I've heard things that you didn't do that were actually harming me and the people I care about, right? So these things happen all the time. And we got to try to see as clearly as we can, is this person being congruent in this moment? If they're being congruent, that's a signal to our brains that, okay, this is someone I can further invest in, someone that I trust. This is going to resonate a little bit more, okay? Now, this is a really cool section. We're going to go into the 5 archetypes that women fall in love for, right? Now, here's an idea I want you guys to actually entertain. Why do women, specifically women more so, men do as well, but why is it that women fall so much in love with artists, but specifically actors, right? I always use the example of a Leonardo DiCaprio, right? So that's a whole other video we'll get into of, a lot of just his psychology. People criticize him, like, oh, you're dating this way, you're doing that. Guys, most hate in the world is just cope, and the fact that you're actually at a place where you'd rather be, but your current situation sucks, and you're gonna make a lot of cope and say, okay, wait a second, he's wrong, he's this. Stop that. Stop blaming anybody else and stop focusing on that. Just improve yourself. It's really that easy. But here's where it gets interesting. 5 archetypes. So these are the archetypes that if you can exude these as a man, that women are going to gravitate towards you, right? So it's similar to the 5 things women want, but it's a little bit different as a model that helps you understand, wait a second, am I tapping into X, Y, Z of this frame? And then when you do that, you'll create so many more opportunities for yourself. So here are the 5 archetypes. I want you guys to get ready to start writing them down. 5 archetypes, and the first one is the surfer, okay? The surfer is, aesthetic, has a nice physique, and is also athletic. Right? This is really the very primal part of the woman just being visually aroused by you when they see you. So you gotta ask yourself, am I embodying the surfer archetype, the surfer ideal, right? Am I athletic? Do I have that aesthetic? And is my physique one that's gonna really attract, right? That's something you gotta be very mindful of. So we have the surfer aesthetic, or the surfer archetype. Second is we have the Clark Kent, right? As we all know, Clark Kent, Superman, same thing, right? The Clark Kent is basically intelligence, being a little nerdy, which isn't actually such a bad thing. Being well-read and being studious, right? So when you're the Clark Kent, it's like, okay, you're the one who values intelligence. You're not just, this good-looking physical dude. You're not just this smooth talker, but wait a second, you know things. There's substance to you. And intelligence is a high indicator for women that you actually have, again, value. Someone that actually can illustrate that you have the ability to provide, protect children, all that stuff, right? So you have the surfer archetype, you have the Clark Kent archetype. Third, James Bond, right? James Bond is one of my favorite characters. I think he's just a badass, totally. The Bond movies were great. I'm personally more Daniel Craig. I like Connery, but also Brosnan and the other guys are great too. But personally, Daniel Craig's my favorite. Skyfall, No Time to Die, Casino were all great movies. Okay, so the James Bond archetype. What does James Bond necessarily have? What does he exude, right? So James Bond, he's quick on his feet. He really does whatever it takes. And he's exceptionally adaptive and also a gentleman, if you really think about it, right? So he exudes the kind of characteristic of women looking at him like thinking, wait a second, damn, he's a badass. Okay, he knows how to dress elegant. He's smooth. He knows how to operate. He's not just a pretty face. He's not just a brain. No, he can talk. He knows charm. He knows suave. He knows to open up the car door for me when we're going on a date. He knows that he should just pay for the bill before the waiter even comes. That's a hack that I tell a lot of my clients, actually. It's a good one. Basically, the trick on that is you just make sure that the bill's paid for so that whenever you feel like going, you just get up and dip. I'll tell you, try that. The next date you go on, just pay the bill. Don't let your date see. And when you're ready to go, just say, all right, let's go. And then she's going to think, wait, but the bill. No, it's already taken care of. Trust me, most men do not do that. It'll already bring you a step forward than most other guys. So that's the James Bond archetype. Next, we have the artist, right? We were talking about this before about the artist. The artist is creative and expressive, and they're in touch with their self, and they're also unique. So what does that look like? It really just looks like your ability to break through the other archetypes and just express yourself in a way that's not afraid of judgment. So whether that's you singing, whether that's you writing, whether that's you painting something, whether that's you cooking, whether that's you just making a joke, any kind of artistry that you can embody is really going to bring a lot of attraction to the woman that you're speaking with, that you're interested in, because it shows them, wait a second, yeah, he has the physique, yeah, he has the intelligence, yeah, he's smooth, but does he have depth? Does he have soul? Beautiful. So you see how you're encapsulating the 4 different archetypes here that really attract the woman, with the last one remaining. So the last archetype is you want to be a local celebrity. And what that means is you basically want to be known by your peers and also be known in some public spaces. Now, when that happens, you're basically communicating to the woman of, okay, wait, I'm safe here. He knows some other guys, okay, so I'm not a total stranger. And of course, one of the drivers for women specifically, of course, men as well, but women are highly attracted to a man who has status. Guys, think about it. Are you really attracted to a woman who has a lot of status? Oh my God. Oh, she has this amazing job. Oh my gosh, she has this amazing thing. Oh, no, that doesn't really happen. We're just not wired that way. We're wired different. And when, obviously it's a bonus, cool, that's great. All right, no problem. But that's not what attracts us, right? But women, they're attracted to status because status is a proxy for not just you have resources, you have the ability to provide, but also it's a proxy for what your lifestyle may actually kind of be like. She sees the people you know, the people who come up to you, they have the other archetypes, the 4 of them, and now she thinks, wait a second, my God, he's the surfer, he's athletic, he has the element to him, he's attractive. Clark Kent, he's intelligent, he studies, he's well-read, wow, that's awesome. James Bond, okay, he's a badass, he can take me out for dinner, he can kick someone's ass and get me home just in time. Damn, it's pretty good. You're the artist. Okay, he's all these things, but he has depth. That's amazing. And lastly is that he's a local celebrity because it's about status. Life is about status. The things we do in life, write this down. What we do in life is an attempt to gain a semblance of status and not to lose it. Not that you need to be famous, not that you need to know all this stuff, but you want to be someone known because you want to know who are the peers that respect you. Look, life is brutal. If you are not interested in all this stuff, please just exit out of the video because the reality is this is how men are attracted, really how men follow the lead of another man and what women are attracted to that bring their attention in, okay? Cool, so yeah, we really are doing a lot of work here. This is great. So the next thing we're gonna go to is what is your responsibility when you're meeting a woman and when you guys are connected? So you have, write this down, it's called the Triple H. The Triple H, it's an excellent concept. It's very simple, it just keeps things straightforward. The Triple H is you need to hang out, you need to have fun, and ultimately you need to hook up. Why is that? So very simple. That's your only obligation when you meet a woman and your responsibility, really. Because when you hang out, okay, that means you just create the opportunity to physically be together. Hang out. Don't complicate things. We'll go more into, with the work I do with my clients, it's helping them figure out how to navigate that process of first meeting someone, of building the chemistry and everything like that. We'll talk a little bit about it at the end, but that is something that you really need to be mindful of this process, the Triple H. You gotta hang out first, just get together, just literally make things happen. Could be chill, could be anything it is, you just gotta make it happen that you two hang out. Second is, you guys gotta have fun. So yeah, you're not gonna go on dates that are little walks in the park, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can do these too. And the park thing is actually fine, I'm not really against that. But you wanna do things where there's an emotional connection. Because, as much as women are listening to the words that you say, which they are, they're gonna remember everything you say. It's funny, they don't remember what happened like 5, 10, whatever years ago, but they remember what you did on December 7th, 2021 at 8:54 p.m. They remember that moment. But of course, that's because they're emotionally tied to a lot of moments in different ways than we are. So step 1, hang out, get together. Step 2, have fun. Positive memories, positive emotions. You are looking at positivity and fun vibes, that's it. And step 3 is to hook up. So a lot of guys will go on dates, they'll maybe wait till the end to maybe see if she plays with her keys, yada yada. It's the same thing I see when guys are proposing to a woman and they think, oh my God, will she say yes? I don't know. What are you doing? Why are you proposing to someone if you're not sure they're gonna say yes? Well, you can never know, what are you doing? Think. You're foolish right now, it doesn't make any sense. Of course, very few things are guarantees in life, kind of, but in reality, you shouldn't be guessing these things. So here's what I mean by the last part of hook up. As you're going through that date with her, you don't want to only escalate a little bit to try to see where the romance may go at the very end. That makes no sense. It's intelligent to actually gauge throughout the courtship process of that night or that day, of that morning, of how did she respond when I got a little bit closer? When I went in to give her a hug, when I went in to give her a kiss on the cheek, how did she respond? Right? Because throughout you're saying, okay, what is her comfortability to what I'm trying to share at this moment? Once you're doing that, you're actually bringing her in a little bit with the rope. And when you do that, she's like, okay, I'm interested. But then throughout the course of the date, if she's just not interested and she's being cordial, and then you go in for a kiss at the end, she's, whoa, what are you doing? You now ended with a very negative memory. And there's a great book by Daniel Kahneman, behavioral economist who actually just passed away, I think 6 months ago, maybe a year ago. And he basically proved, he won the Nobel Prize in economics, and what he proved was that people remember the intensity of an experience and also the ending of an experience. There's two things that they remember. He won a Nobel Prize for this. So that idea should really ring true in your mind that, okay, I gotta be very intelligent when I'm going about this process. And we'll go more into that actually in the next part of this talk. So you have hang out, you have fun, and then you have hook up. Lead the relationship in a manner that is going to be somewhat romantic and or sexual. Because otherwise you're just building friendships and that's fine. But after a while, you're actually kind of robbing women who want romance by not making your needs and your desires actually clearly articulated through demonstrating it from your action. It should always be leading to this point of, okay, wait, there's a romantic opportunity. Hey, let me go in for a nice hug, go in for a kiss. If you guys don't kiss on the first date, you really got to go for at least a second. And then after that, you're like, all right, cool vibes, whatever, but I'm not looking to sleep with her right away. But the idea is, I want to kiss. I want to kiss her. She looks great. You're gorgeous. Do we vibe chemistry? No, cool. You could do your thing. Zero negativity towards you, but I'm interested in something else. Not bad. You're an awesome person. I'm just interested in something else. And then you guys go your separate ways. All good. No problem. Next, I'm getting some water here. We're going to go and talk about, so you do these three things, and let's actually talk about knowing when to kiss, right? So it's going to be called the triangle method, which it works very, very well. And all you're doing with the triangle method is you're looking to understand where is this person with her attraction and where we're going to be right now, right? Meaning, if you're speaking to a girl, you guys are vibing, you guys are doing your thing. As you're speaking with her and you're thinking, wait a second, maybe this is a moment to give her a kiss, to go for a kiss. So a few things you want to be mindful of, and then I'll tell about the triangle method. A few things to be mindful of is, okay, so what is our body positioning like? Is she far away or is she a little bit closer? Is your knee touching my knee? Have we touched a little bit throughout the course of the evening? Were we playful? Were we receptive? And when you're close enough, I'd say probably about a foot away, about 12 inches, you're going to want to use the triangle method. Now, triangle method is very simple, very easy, but here's what you do that's going to accelerate the process so you don't make too many mistakes. Really none, if you do it right. What you're going to do is you're going to look at her eye, let's say her right eye, this may be left ear. You're going to look at one eye for about 2 seconds, and then you're going to look down at her lips for about 1 to 2 seconds, and then back up at her other eye for about 2 to 3 seconds, right? So you're going to repeat that. So eye, lips, eye, lips, eye, lips. Just do it a few times. And if at any point of doing that, she looks at your lips, then that means it's a green light. So you're going to go in, you can go for a kiss, and then from there, okay, she goes, oh, I didn't want to do a kiss. Okay, cool, no problem, all good. Maybe I misread the signs, all good, no problem. Cool, done, no worries. Something else that you can do, and this is another technique, is you can actually just go and, if you guys are comfortable at this point, put your arm to her hair, your hand rather, say, wow, you have really soft hair. And you're just gonna see how she responds. So of course, if she's comfortable, she's not gonna be like, oh my God, get away from me. No, she'll say, oh yeah, thank you so much. And she'll like that because you also broke the touch barrier and you actually got very close. Think about it. If your hand is going right here, like, wow, I really like your hair. So nice, the tips are so soft. She's gonna say, wait a second. So he just came in here and I didn't negatively respond. So okay, yeah, I guess there's some interest here. There's some romance. And then as a guy, you see that, you think, all right, cool, golden moment, boom, you go in, kiss, happily ever after, or maybe not, maybe it's just a romance, whatever it is. But we want to be really mindful of this stuff as it's happening. So we're going to go to a lot of other material. Hopefully you guys have got a lot so far. Take the notes. I want you guys to comment down below how much resonates, what's confusion. Obviously share this to somebody that needs it, because we got through a lot that most men never think about. But if you know that you just got to hang out, have fun, and hook up, you know the 5 archetypes, you know what the expectations are, you broke these dating myths, and you know how to actually turn on the switch of how to demonstrate higher value, you're in a pretty good place. But the good thing is we have a lot more to get through, which I'm stoked for. So this is what's going to happen now when, we're not going to talk so much about the dating process throughout, because that's going to be another video and just going into that stuff. But just one thing to leave you guys with is, at least on this part, when you're dating, you really got to be leading the process, and you want to make your presence, you don't want to be overbearing. So what that means in its very shorthand is you're not going to text and set up dates. You're going to briefly call, talk for 5-10. You're not going to say too many details, talk about life. You're just going to speak for about 5-10, and then you're going to set up a date for the next time. You're not going to say, yeah, I'll confirm it, or yeah, like, what sounds good to you? No, it's say, hey, like, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Cool. Look, I actually got to jump back into a meeting, but I'd love to go out on Friday. I want to go out about 6 or 7. Are you available? Yeah? Okay, cool. All right, sure. Just you're going to meet me there. Or if you pick them up, whatever it is, we'll go through that in another video. But the basic of it is you are simply just communicating with them. Hey, obviously I'm interested. Women know that you're interested, or else why would you be calling? They can just tell. And then from there, you set up the date. You're not checking in. You're not trying to make, oh, how are you throughout the week? Oh my God, I'm in a... No, have some discipline for God's sake. You're busy, you're working. And then maybe even you're on another date. Who knows, right? You're living your life and you just set something there. It's schedule. You're a busy guy. Hey, schedule Friday, 7 p.m. Boom. Cool. Hey, I'm picking you up. Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll see you there. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Keep it short and sweet, right? There's a great acronym, KISS. We just learned about kissing a bit, but KISS, K-I-S-S, keep it simple, stupid. Do this, you're in great shape. Now, we're going to go to, let's accelerate it a bit, and you guys are in a relationship. You guys, there's some romance, or even if you're not in an exclusive relationship, whatever it is, this is something critical to understand, because it can even be used with platonic relationships, but rarely, it's more so just in the romantic sense. This is the section we're going to talk about. It's called the lack of intimacy, right? What really kills intimacy, or at least polarity, because you can have a friend who you work with that's a woman, and just being mindful of that. It's, of course that's a different domain, but it's still some of the elements are still there. Because remember, we may live with our front brain, our psychology that says, oh, we're this, we're that. We have primal conditioning within our bodies that leads us to behave a certain way, okay? So the 3 things that kill the feminine spark for women, right? These are things that you do as a man that kills her feminine. And when her feminine's shut down, she's very closed off, right? She can't spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically receive you because she's closed. You didn't do the things you gotta do. So it's the 3 U's. Write this down. The 3 U's is feeling unseen, feeling not understood, and feeling unsafe, right? So if she's not feeling seen, then you just basically got to give her attention and make sure to do it all the time. Like, be present, give her the attention, boom. Pretty easy. If she feels that she's not understood, then you have to give real presence. If you're dating someone now, or even if your sister or whatever, like your mom or whoever it is that's a woman in your life, just speak to her and say, can you do an exercise with me? Just look at me, and we're just going to talk for like 1, 2, 3 minutes, whatever it is. Just let me know when you think I broke presence with you. Most guys can't even last 5 seconds because their eyes just get so distracted, and even if they're looking, they're not really present. That is going to make her feel so understood, as well as when you ask clarifying questions, when you just say, hey, I want to understand, right? So first you want to see her, then you want to understand her, and lastly, she's got to feel safe. You got to give her reassurance, and you got to do this all the time, right? I went to a seminar, and at the seminar they asked, there were a lot of men and women in the crowd, like maybe 5,000, 7,000, probably more. And they were asking them, if you are a man in the crowd, I want you to raise your hand if you did not feel safe at least once in the past month, in your neighborhood, in your hometown, whatever it is, right? Raise their hand, and maybe 2 or 3 hands went up. Who knows what it was, right? So that happens. And then the speaker goes to the women, he goes, all right, guys, or ladies, I want you to raise your hand if you didn't feel safe at least once in the past month in your own neighborhood, your own hometown. Like a wave, every single hand went up, okay? So it's just a base reality, right? So whether that's on a social public level or even personal intimate level, if women do not feel safe, they literally are unable to open up, and they cannot receive what you're trying to give them. Your presence, your energy, your soul, your spirit, your body, for God's sake, right? So keep that in mind. If you evade these 3, right? You have her feeling safe, you have her feeling seen, you have her feeling understood, then you're going to be in a position where intimacy will not close, but it will blossom like a flower. Now, I want you guys as men to understand why are maybe you shutting down? You know, if you're dating somebody and you're in a romantic relationship, or even you're just setting something up, you're just dating, casual, you've been married for years, whatever's happening, right? You see someone you know, one of your brothers, one of your boys, something happened to them and they start shutting down, you think, wow, what's happening? Why is this guy really having a struggle with his masculine, right? Here's what happens. So for women, it's the 3 U's, and for men, it's the 3 C's. Make sure to write this down. So men, the 3 C's for the masculine is 1, being criticized. 2 is feeling closed, and 3 is feeling controlled. Okay, so let's run through that. You know, when men feel criticized, they go, we have such an ego that we really want to be, no, I got this, I can do it, I can do it. It's not that we can't take feedback, and of course we can, but just as a natural response, we're not going to like that. So the solution to when a man that you're with, or as a man, let's just say you guys, speaking to the ladies as well, but as men, when you feel criticized, what you really need is just to feel admired and appreciated. You know, if you guys are driving together, oh, honey, you didn't go the right way. Oh, honey. So if you turn the wrong way, the woman should say, honey, I believe in you. You can do this. You know, I really believe we can figure it out. You're so smart. You're so intelligent. We got this. Why is she punishing you? And actually, as guys, remember, you are tolerating this behavior in your partner because you set that standard, right? You know, women are going to treat you the way that you show them you want to be treated, and vice versa, right? It's a human element. 2 is feeling closed, right? So when you're with your lady and whatever it is, and they're closed, it goes, wait a second, you know, that kind of kills your masculinity because you're trying to be playful, you're trying to make jokes, whatever it is, and now they're closed, and that's just not gonna awaken even further the masculine, right? So what needs to happen there is finding a way for her to really just be open and playful, right? Because when she gets into that, when she's aware of this, she's open and playful, that's when you stop feeling closed, and that's when the interactions can blossom once again, right? Lastly, feeling controlled, right? You know, control this, oh, honey, where are you going? Oh, no, you can't do that. Oh, no, don't say that. Don't post that thing. Oh, my, no, you got to change the pop-up. Whoa, dude, I was a stallion back in the day. I'm trying to lead right now. And you're telling me to do this? No, I'm not doing that, right? But then that keeps happening. You have deeper relationships, kids, whatever it is. And then at that point, you feel so suffocated. You feel so controlled that at that point you think, you know what, like, I'm just out. I'm shutting down, right? So the solution is for women, give the guy freedom and love, saying, you know, have fun, enjoy. Because most often, men don't even actually necessarily want to do those things all the time. Of course, sometimes they do. They just want to know they have the freedom, right? The second you take that core freedom from a man, like, he will literally die for it, right? Like he won't take the situation from people. He'll just move and make things happen, right? So the 3 C's for the masculine is criticism, closed, and controlled, right? So the counter to that in its simplest form is to just admire, let it be free, and to be playful. You do these and you'll be in good shape. So a couple other points we're going to briefly discuss as we're getting towards the end of the video, and then I'll conclude with some closing thoughts, is selection, right? How do you go about choosing somebody? You know, we briefly went over, you know, archetypes, we went over what we want, we went over what kills polarity, we went over the process of meeting someone and what you should do then, we went over the dating myths, a lot of things. But how do you actually go through the process of choosing someone that you don't only just want for the short term, but is also potentially qualified for the long term? So 3 keys for selection, right? And make sure to write these down. For selection, you want to make sure, okay, can this person do the job, right? Like, can they do it? Meaning, are they someone who's actually capable of, you know, being in a relationship? Like, do they know the skills? Do they know how to communicate? Do they know how to be in social settings? Do they know how to, I mean, are we physically the same when we connect? Is this stuff working? When that happens, it really just changes the dynamic, because if they can't do the job, then you're just in the wrong place, right? Next is, will they do the job? Is there interest for them, right? So yeah, they can do it, but will they do it? Like, I'm not really sure if they like really will. Like, they say they'll do this in the beginning, but later on, will they? You know, there's a saying, it's, you know, women get into relationships believing that men will change, and men get into relationships believing women will stay the same, right? It's a fun little play on the two, but it's really the idea of, yeah, wait, will this person actually do this stuff, or are they just kind of saying it, right? So first you have can do, second you have will do, and thirdly is, are they a team fit? So are they actually a good team fit for what we're trying to do? You know, I'm trying to build an empire, or I'm trying to live in a van. I'm trying to live this kind of lifestyle, but she wants that lifestyle. How do we actually meet each other halfway? Are they a good team fit? Do we share similar values? We didn't get into that on this video, but it's really, what are the values? Are we interested in the same things? Do we move towards the same thing, right? If I move towards freedom and she moves towards absolute security and avoiding any risk, yeah, there's probably going to be some problems, right? It's values that people mistake and they don't pay attention to because they're so infatuated by the other stuff, right? So again, the 3 parts of selection, choosing someone, and you'll see this as well with jobs, with everything else, is can they do the job? Will they do the job? And are they a team fit? Be very mindful of this. Now we're on to our last section, which is called the M3 model, and it's exactly how you can actually create, not necessarily create, but create attraction in the sense that you know how to go from start to finish. What does that mean? It's when you first lock eyes with a woman, or you just recognize them, you see them in a public setting or whatever it is, private setting, all the way to escalating it to them now being romantic and then even physical, how you get to that process. So I want you guys to briefly think, I'm gonna drink some water. What do you guys usually do when you go through a process? You see someone, what exactly do you do? And quickly just brainstorming in your mind. Okay, I see them from a distance, I notice them, I go up, maybe I don't, ask a friend to go, we talk for 5-10, maybe I ask for a number after I bought her a drink, and then after I hope things go well, right? What do you actually do in that process? Take a moment. I didn't think talking for an hour would make you so parched, but I was mistaken. Okay, so with this M3 model, I have it written down because I'm taking notes as we go, this is how every interaction basically goes to some extent, because everything in life is sequential, okay? Meaning, when you cook food, you do it sequentially. You know, the right ingredients aren't enough, you gotta do them in order and in sequence. What does that mean? Just imagine for a second, if you live in the United States and you're watching this, what number do you call when you have an emergency? 911. And what happens if you actually call, when in an emergency, you call 119? Nobody's gonna answer. And the reason nobody answers is because you have the right digits, 911, but you did it out of sequence, 119, right? It's not enough to do things right, you gotta do them in the right time, right? It's critical to do that. So part of this model is exactly how the men I've worked with have met their partners. It happens in so many sequences to some capacity or another. There are slight variations, but I'd say at about 95% of the time, it's usually this process. So the 3 major categories is you attract, then you build comfort, and then you seduce, right? You could think about it as the kind of like the ABCS model, or really the ACS model. Attract, comfort, and seduce, okay? So what happens in attract, right? And you want to do these in sequence. You don't want to build comfort and then seduce, because it goes, wait a second, like he was in the friend zone, he was like my gay best friend, and now he's trying to seduce him, what the hell? And you don't also just want to have attraction and then skip comfort and go straight to seduction. Because then, they were maybe infatuated, but they didn't really feel safe, but they did, and they were interested, but they kind of regretted it, I don't know, you were just some random guy, who knows, right? You want to be very mindful of that. So what happens here is, first you want to start with attract, okay? We're going to power through it. In attract, the first thing that happens is the open, right? So you can think about it like A for attract, and A1, right? We'll do A2, A3, C1, C2, C3, S1, S2, S3. A1 is attract, there is open. So open means, what is the opening dialogue, opening event that's going to happen that's then going to merge the 2 parties involved, meaning you and whatever party she's with, or you and your people and her people, whatever it is. So that's the opener, right? Whether it's an activity you guys do together, you have an opening line, you make an opening observation, whatever it is there's an open. So you just open up the set, you merge whatever groups are there, and then the interaction begins, okay? A2 is what's female to male interest. Some people may not like this, that's all good, no problem. But what usually happens is when men tend to go straight forward to the exact woman that they want, unless they have out of this world charisma and they're just really self-assured and they have that, to the woman, you're a total stranger. And if you're not like a 7 or like an 8, 9, 10, they're gonna think, what the hell is this? Even if you're an 8 or 9, you're gonna think this is kind of weird, right? So the reason that it's gotta be female to male interest first after that opener is so you can gauge and assess, okay, is this person even interested? Am I safe to go and try to attract this person? Think about it. let's say you go for girl Nicole, we'll just say, right? So you go for girl Nicole, and then as you go for her, you're mingling, whatever it is. But what you don't realize is that one, she has a boyfriend somewhere and about. Then he sees you potentially talking to her, and then he gets upset, beats you up, whatever it is, crazy. Sounds kind of dramatic, but it's really not. And this goes really far back, even into very caveman days, right? When you live in smaller tribes, if you were in a smaller tribe of about 50 people, 25 men, 25 women, really viable for dating and mating was maybe 3 to 5 people max, right? Maybe 7, but let's say 3 to 5. So you approach this Nicole that you see, you talk to her, and guess what? 2 things happen. One, it does well. 3 things happen, but really 2, right? The one thing is it goes well, okay, great. But the other 2 is if it doesn't go well, what are the repercussions? So the first thing is you go to speak to girl Nicole, and as you're speaking with Nicole, here's what happens. So another guy finds out, who's actually her partner, but was in the woods, was foraging, whatever it is, and he goes, "Wait, you're trying to take my girl? Oh, I'm gonna kill you." Sometimes it's that crazy. I've seen this stuff. It's nuts. The second thing too is if you go for Nicole and she brutally rejects you, she's not interested. Now what that communicates to all the other girls that she's with is, oh, why would I go for this guy, Joe Schmo? Ugh. Look at Nicole didn't want him. Why would I want him? That makes it look bad. Ugh. Right? And then that also communicates to the guys that you're with. It's a brutal world, but a lot of the times guys are going to think, oh, look at this guy. He can't get any girls. So now you actually basically just went on a suicide mission. And I know it's a lot to think about, but think about it. You went and approached a girl. And what happened is your life could have been at risk by the boyfriend. And now as well, her friends may not be interested in you. So now your ability to replicate, to actually have a partner is basically decimated. And in the first part, or the part with the men don't respect you and they're never going to bring you on their team. You're going to be serving these guys forever. They don't have respect for you. So it's actually kind of even an existential situation. I know we're going pretty far with this idea, but think about it. There's a lot at stake. So as a guy, you want to gauge what is the interest level. There's no certainties in life, but you just want to gauge, get an idea. You go in their group and say, okay, cool, like you guys are talking for a bit. Awesome, how do you guys know each other? Oh, like these 2 guys are actually my brothers. Okay, cool. So now it's probably a little more normal if we connect and see what happens. Versus you go in there, maybe the brother had a bad day, doesn't like your vibe. You want to get the female to male interest first. That's the reality, because then from there you know how to better navigate what's going on. Next is you need to be aware of A3, which is male to female interest, is yeah, the girl that you're speaking with, she showed interest, whatever that looks like. Maybe she's playing with her hair, maybe she's asking you questions, maybe she's tapping your arm, maybe she's receptive to you. And when she's doing that, you're then going to respond to, oh, okay, yeah, there's a little bit of interest from me to you in subtle ways, and you communicate it with her. Because at that point, if you're not interested, she may have been, but then now you're kind of losing her because there's no reciprocity, right? And the law of reciprocity is stating that once something is presented or given, there's a sense of, okay, I kind of want to give back. It was pretty sweet what I just received, so I want to give back. So that's attract, A1, A2, A3. Next is comfort. Okay, so guys, make sure you write these ones down. You're going to review them. I'm going to have more videos on this stuff, and we'll go through it even more, but these are the absolute basics, okay? So next is you have comfort. So we'll say C1 is conversation, right? So once you demonstrate interest to her, right, male to female interest, you guys are going to have some conversation. You guys are going to connect slightly, just talk a little bit. You guys are just going to get some banter back and forth, right? Playful, and you're just going to get an emotional gauge and assessing their interest level and seeing what the vibe is. Next, you go to C2, which is connection, right? You kind of go a little bit deeper. You're kind of just really relating on things. You're kind of having some energy together. It's like you're kind of vibing quite a bit. And next is really to C3, where you get to the stage of intimacy, right? At this point, maybe you guys are at a secluded part. Maybe you guys already went in your first hangout, whatever it is. But at this point, you guys are now, there's kissing, there's hugging, there's playful hugs, whatever it is, right? You're now developing a sense of, instead of just building friendly, platonic comfort, you're getting to the point of, okay, yeah, we built that, we were conversing, and then now we're actually connecting, but then now we're getting intimate. And that changes the dynamic because that presents the opportunity, right? So throughout all of C is, you don't want to get to the next level, so you're not going to skip C1 and just jump to C2. You're not going to skip C2 and just go straight to C3. You're going to work your way up, and if at any point the girl's not vibing, you're not feeling it, just back out. It's all good. It's all good. There's never a need to try to convince or persuade or anything like that. We're being light, we're being playful, we're reading the room, and then from there we go to where we need to go to then build, right? Be very mindful of this because everything in life is sequential. So then now we go to seduce, right? So we had attract, we had comfort, build comfort, attract, AC. Now we're going to S, which is seduce. So this is the latter part after you did the initial attraction phase, then you build comfort, now you're in seduction. So for seduction, the first thing, now it's gonna, you guys are in a disclosed location, it's a little more private, now you guys are really starting to connect. So then now you're getting to the place of foreplay, right? So you guys are connecting in a way where, it's going slower, you guys are maybe back at your place, her place, it's going slower, it's really connecting, but you guys are actually escalating quite a bit, right? So you guys are really personal, maybe you're on the couch, maybe you're on a bed, maybe you're just on this, whatever, in the kitchen, whatever you want to do, no judgment, you're on a pool, you're in a boat, you're in a hammock, whatever it is, anywhere. You're there, you guys are vibing, and then now it's actually escalating because you're there, it's getting hot and heavy, you guys are really connecting. Then the next stage is you guys are actually going to go to what's called LMR. Acronyms, it's very popular in these communities. The acronym for LMR means last minute resistance, right? So essentially what this is that even if you're vibing with someone, like you always have the green light if they're communicating with you throughout. But if they're communicating hesitancy and stuff like that, then just back out. Just cool, no problem. Cool, no problem. Cool, no problem. You're just staying your soul back. You reassess the situation, see what's going on. And with this last part, with C2, right, or with S2 rather, there's last minute resistance of even if you guys are vibing, if you guys, let's say you've been dating this girl for such a while, before you guys get to the sexual dynamic, it's really the point of no return because that's when things switch. That's when they change, right? So, think about it. Women are the gatekeepers of sexual relation. Men are the gatekeepers of commitment, right? So it's a little bit different, right? Men, we're always trying to get the most amount of sex for the least amount of time, energy, and money. It's a brutal simplification, but it's quite true. Women are trying to get the most amount of time, energy, and money really for the least amount of sex usually, right? Just because sex tends to be riskier for women, they bear the burden usually, because they're the ones having the kid. There's all these implications that they have. And it's actually a way that women a lot of the times are not going to give so much physical intimacy because they know that's a currency, right? But then as well, on the same token for men, it's actually a currency for them to give commitment to the woman, right? So what happens here is there's something called LMR, last minute resistance. It's totally normal. It's all good. Of course, if it's intense, or even not even intense, no, cool, you back out, you're just out of there. The thing is, even if you guys are together and you guys are vibing, there's a hesitancy, meaning it could be, is there a condom? Or, the lights are on, or whatever it is. Or oh my gosh, the window's open. Oh my God, whatever it could be. When you see LMR happening, your response is just say, cool, no problem. Just take a step back. Cool, no problem. Cool. Because it is no problem. Dude, it's just sex. I mean, oh my God, it's actually a lot of work sometimes if you think about it, right? Of course, enjoyable, all this stuff. But if you're so hell-bent on just getting laid, it's like it's like being desperate to get paid, right? You behave different. You're not going to resonate. You're not going to connect well. Stop with the desperation. No need to convince. No need to persuade. If there's last minute resistance, you say, okay, cool, no problem. Really, what she was doing is, in a way, of course, communicating her need, but also sharing that, wait a second, I need to feel safe enough that if we start to have sex, which is S3, that if I want you to stop at any point, you would stop, right? So if you won't even stop for something that's small, of beginning to get to that place, then what makes me think that you're going to stop once we're actually continuing, we're getting deeper into this place? I don't know. I don't feel safe, right? That's what they're thinking, right? So to review, attract, comfort, seduce. A1 is the opener. A2 is the female to male interest. A3 is male to female interest. Then we shift to comfort building once you build attraction. So now C1 is conversation. C2 is connection. And C3, at this part, this is where it switches, becomes now intimate. But then we switch over to seduce. So, this is a place where a lot of guys tend to actually get nervous. But what happens here is you just got to continue that momentum that you've been on. Just be relaxed, be chill, and just do your thing. She's clear with you because she's interested. Awesome. So S1, foreplay, you're building up. S2, LMR, last minute resistance. Oh, okay, I just want to make sure everything's good, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Reassure that everything's all safe. And then the next place you're getting to is S3, which is sex. Awesome stuff, right? So look, we went over a lot of stuff today. I I was only planning to go about 45 minutes, but we went to an hour and 5. Look, so here's the reality, right? So a lot of stuff we went over. There's so many things we could have talked more about, right? Some other models, like the ideas of there's how in relationships there's a captain and a passenger. It's rarely exactly equal. I mean, the egalitarian relationship doesn't really work. It just doesn't. It's actually counter to the hypergamous nature of women, which means women's tendency to date their equal or to date up in many different ways because they don't want to date someone they believe is below them. So there's a lot of stuff we could have gone over. We didn't even use the board. We're going to have to use them on one of these. But I know there's a lot of questions, but I want to hear, what did you guys think? What resonates? I want you guys to share stories. Share stories below of, yeah, I went through this experience and it was blah, 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 whatever, right? I want you to share, share this with a friend who needs it. I do one-on-one coaching, so feel free to message me for any of that stuff. We can talk more about that. But I really want to leave you with the idea that, being a man in the world is a very challenging experience, especially being a young man, because, most women don't want you and most men don't even respect you. And then you feel very isolated and alone, right? I just read a statistic today that I think it's 1 in 3 men or don't even have a friend or something crazy. I could put more statistics in the next video. Yeah, it's tough for us, right? The world is changing. We're going from a muscle economy to a mental economy. You have the rise of pornography being more accessible, affordable, and anonymous, social media being present as well, and how that affects the two different demographics where men go more towards porn and women go more towards social media because it rewards them in certain ways. And then now you have AI replacing us. And look, there's a lot of subject matter we're going to go into more videos, but I want you guys to understand that your current situation in life is not where you need to turn out. For me, I had some success years ago. I had some challenges, plenty of heartbreaks I went through, which was very tough. And I remember when I was actually living in DC a few years ago, I had one breakup that was very tough, only because I thought I had learned stuff and it didn't go well, or it didn't go the way I wanted it to, right? Look how much we frame it. So it was really tough. And then I remember telling myself, because I made so many obvious mistakes, I told myself, dude, this cannot happen again. Or at least I'm going to ensure that this is less likely to happen in the future. So I went through the process of learning I read the books, I went out, I did the stuff, I continued to date and stuff like that. And I managed to just get a lot of practice through experience and then also practice through coaching and learning that process. So stick with that. Your circumstance is not your destiny. Your choices do matter. And if I'm going to leave you with a quote, it's going to be, they were speaking to Michelangelo, right? Who is from Italy and Florence, during the Renaissance, maybe not Florence, but in Italy during the Renaissance. And they asked Michelangelo, one guy came over, he was writing a piece for the statue of David that he built, right? He goes to Michelangelo and he goes, oh my God, Michelangelo, this was, amazing. You saw, you made the statue and oh my, it's so incredible. How'd you do it? What was your inspiration? What led you to doing this, right? How did you know to create the statue? It's just amazing. A work of art. It's still today, people go all the time, Italy, making trips to see it. What is it about this piece of marble that resonates with people so much from across the globe? Here's what happened. The reporter asked Michelangelo, how'd you do this, yada, yada. And Michelangelo said something that always stuck with me, and I hope it sticks with you guys because it really is so representative of our lives and who we can become if we're just mindful of it. Michelangelo says, I saw the angel in the marble and I carved until I set him free. Stick with that. I saw the angel in the marble and I carved until I set him free. For me, that really means that, look, there's a part of us that's waiting to just be chiseled away at so we can then become who we fully are. We're trapped in the marble, and the marble is our circumstance, but when we sculpt, when we carve ourselves, we then become the statue of David, this piece that's marveled at, that is respected for centuries and will be forever till the end of time. So hopefully that sticks with you. Let that resonate. Make sure to put comments. I want to hear your guys' experience. Did you go through a breakup? Are you happy with your relationship? What's that like? Put that down below. Share this with someone who needs it. If you do want coaching work or anything like that, of course, message me. I'm looking to serve, so we're going to be doing more of that. Put your comments down below, share this, and we shall talk soon. And it was great chatting with you guys. It was an hour 10. I'll try to keep them a little short next time, but the idea is hopefully this was super valuable. Review it, put this into some note organizing thing if you need to. Follow me on Instagram, connect with me there. Responsive, I want to serve guys primarily because I understand a little more of what we're going through. But the idea is that, we do not manage our circumstances. We're creators of our destiny. Not to be hoo-ha, whatever. Look, we don't manage just the reality. We got to have a vision and create, okay? All right, guys, talk to you soon. Peace. All the best.